After successfully conquering the mission, I chose to stay for the deeply affectionate female second lead. I told her the secret of the system: if she ever changed her heart, the system would erase my memories and take me away. Holding my hand with deep affection, she promised earnestly, "Don't worry, I will never change my heart." But 10 years later, when Christian and I were injured in the same accident, Tina completely ignored me and anxiously sent Christian to the hospital. Meanwhile, my arm was fractured, and the pain was so intense that I passed out. When I woke up again, I saw Tina's assistant standing guard beside my hospital bed, yet I couldn't remember anything that had happened before at all. What happened? Why am I in the hospital? Chapter 1. The assistant's expression suddenly froze as she stared at me blankly. Half a month ago, you were hit by someone at the ski resort and got injured, so you were hospitalized. The boss was too busy to get away, so she asked me to take care of you. Don't you remember? I felt a bit lost. I was hit by someone. Yes, how could you forget again? The assistant was shocked and asked cautiously, "Today is the 10th anniversary of your marriage with the boss. You didn't forget that too, did you?" I tried hard to recall, but my mind was completely blank. My wedding anniversary with Tina had been a date I remembered by heart for 10 years, yet now I had forgotten it entirely. At that moment, the ward door was gently pushed open, and Tina walked in. "I'm here to take you home, Alan. Something suddenly came up today. You won't blame me for not staying in the ward with you, will you?" I turned my head, my gaze falling on Tina's face. In those eyes full of affection, it seemed as if there was only me. She held my hand, her voice tinged with a soft, coaxing tone. "Don't be mad. I was busy with work some time ago and didn't know you'd had an accident. I really didn't mean not to come take care of you. I'm genuinely busy today too, so I couldn't stay with you. How about this? Tonight I'll cook myself. I'll make your favorite dishes." She was a hugely popular actress, glamorous and radiant in public, yet gentle and attentive toward me like a little woman at home. I knew she was busy, but in the past, even if I accidentally cut my hand while chopping vegetables, she would worry about me the entire night. Now, after I'd been in an accident, with a fractured arm, lying in the hospital for half a month, she had only sent her assistant to take care of me. I lightly pressed my lips together. "All right, let's go home." Tina told the assistant to leave first and personally took care of everything, handling all the discharge procedures for me. I sat on a chair, watching her busy figure, my eyes filled with confusion. Back then, Tina had insisted on marrying me even though her career was on the rise, despite me having nothing at all. On our wedding day, she told me, "I don't need you to make a lot of money. As long as you stay by my side, that's enough. I love you so much, so deeply." She truly lived up to those words. For the past 10 years, she had treated me just the same as always. Yet even though she still loved me as before, I couldn't help but feel that the distance between us was quietly growing. Tina returned to my side with a smile, a fine sheen of sweat on her forehead. One hand pulled my luggage, the other supported me. "Let's go. We're going home. Be careful, your arm hasn't fully healed yet." We walked out of the hospital. Just as we were about to get into the car, Tina's phone rang at the most inopportune moment. A few seconds later, she hung up with a troubled expression. "There's a last-minute job. Honey, can you go home by yourself first? I'll try my best to hurry back and be with you." I froze slightly. I wanted to say that today was our wedding anniversary, but seeing the difficult look on Tina's face, I still nodded. I returned home alone. The house was cold and empty. In the past, on our wedding anniversaries, we would always reserve a 5-star restaurant and carefully plan a proper date. Today, I was injured, she had work, and for the first time, we spent it separately. I picked up my phone and saw a tweet that Christian had just posted. Christian was the male lead of the book, and also the man Tina had loved for many years. However, Christian loved the female lead and had rejected her. After the ending of the book, Christian and the female lead did not live happily together. Just a few years later, they divorced. He had posted a photo of himself dining with Tina at a restaurant. The caption read, "10 years have passed, and you're still by my side." My face instantly turned several shades paler, an uncontrollable bitterness spreading through my chest. So the work, she mentioned, was actually going to have dinner with him. My hands trembled as I tapped into his tweet. He updated his feed frequently. Nearly all the photos from the past year were related to Tina, pictures of them holding hands, or shots filled with ambiguous intimacy. Among them, one tweet from half a month ago caught my eye. "Got knocked over while skiing with my girlfriend. Just a small scrape, but she couldn't put her mind at ease and insisted I be hospitalized and taken care of around the clock. I'm really too lucky." Skiing. In an instant, memories of the accident from half a month ago came flooding back. That day, Tina and I had agreed to go out together, but she received a last-minute work notice and had to leave. So I went to the ski resort alone. Not long after I put on my skis, a figure speeding down from behind slammed into me hard. A sharp pain shot through my arm. I struggled to lift my head, and then I heard Tina's anxious voice ringing in my ears. Christian, are you okay? Following the sound, I saw the person who had knocked me over being helped up by a woman, who was checking on him with obvious concern. That voice, it was unmistakably Tina's. I was wearing ski goggles and a face mask, so Tina didn't recognize me. She only coldly gave instructions to the assistant beside her. Handle the victim properly. Whatever compensation they ask for, give it to them. I'm taking Christian to the hospital. With that, she hurriedly supported Christian and left. My arm hurt unbearably, but the pain in my heart was far worse. When the assistant realized the injured person was me, he panicked and wanted to inform Tina. I spoke with difficulty, stopping him. No need to tell her, just take me to the hospital. My arm had a minor fracture. After surgical fixation, I needed to be hospitalized for observation. The assistant was frightened and still called Tina, but he didn't tell her that I was the victim, only that I'd been in an accident. Tina never came to see me. She stayed by Christian's side the entire time. Tears slid down my face uncontrollably, yet a bitter smile tugged at the corner of my lips. No wonder I'd been forgetting more and more things lately. So it turned out her heart had long since stopped being with me. The signs had been there all along, I just hadn't truly understood until now. I leaned against the window, scrolling through Christian's tweets, rereading them over and over for an entire afternoon. When night finally fell, I called out to the system. System, I give up. I want to go home. Very quickly, the system's cold, familiar voice responded. 3 days later, when your body dissipates, I will take you home. That night, I fell asleep without waiting for Tina to return. In the middle of the night, she came back and hugged me from behind. Acting spoiled as she said, "Why didn't you wait for me to sleep together tonight? You didn't even call me. Are you sulking with me?" I kept my eyes closed and didn't move. I'm just tired. Work ended late today. The big meal I promised you, I'll make it up to you tomorrow. Okay. Tina pressed her face against my back, coaxing softly, "Don't be mad." Thinking of the photo Christian had posted just hours earlier, my emotions tangled into a mess. I closed my eyes. All right, I would be leaving very soon. Whether her lies were exposed or not no longer mattered. Early the next morning, Tina pulled me from the dining table over to the wardrobe in the bedroom. "Do you remember where you put my white fishtail dress? I want to wear that one to an event today." I slowly shook my head. "I don't remember. You've always been the one organizing my clothes." But I truly didn't remember, so much so that I couldn't even recall what that dress looked like. Seeing that I still remained silent, Tina put her hands on her hips, clearly upset. "Are you angry because I didn't stay with you last night, or because I didn't stay with you in the hospital?" I already explained it. I've been extremely busy with work lately. I had no choice. I didn't have time to stay with you. "I'm not angry," I said softly as I looked at her agitated expression. "I just forgot. The system erased my memories." Tina grew even angrier. "It's been 10 years, and you're still using that non-existent system to lie to me. How could something like that possibly exist in this world?" Watching her frown deeply, bitterness and sour pain surged in my chest. So it turned out she had never believed in the system I mentioned, never believed it could really take me away. I didn't want to argue anymore. After a moment of silence, I spoke. "If you still love Christian, we can get a divorce." Tina's eyes instantly reddened. "Alan, how could you say something like that?" "Yes, I've loved Christian for 10 years. I can't completely cut ties with him, but it's only because his relationship with his wife ran into problems that I've been caring about him a bit more. You're my husband. Do you really need to be this petty? Nitpicking over him, even saying things out of spite about giving me to him. What do you take me for?" After saying that, Tina burst into tears. Without waiting for my response, she turned around and left. I stared at the door as it slammed shut. A fine, piercing pain spread through my chest, making it almost impossible to breathe. If things were really as she said, then why would my memories be gradually disappearing? "Tina, is it really that hard to admit that you've changed your heart?" The pain in my body steadily worsened, tormenting me until I couldn't sleep through the night. At dawn, I received a notification from the system. "Host, the day after tomorrow I will arrange for you to die in a car accident. Please prepare yourself." That evening, Tina came back, with Christian following behind her. She walked up to me and took my hand. Her expression was no longer as angry as it had been that morning, as if our argument had never happened. "Christian said he wanted to come check on your injury." I couldn't really refuse his kindness. "I'll go cook. Can you two chat for a bit?" I glanced at Christian. "Go ahead and get busy." Tina stood on tiptoe, lightly kissed my lips, and whispered, "Don't argue. There's nothing going on between me and him." She went into the kitchen. I turned and stepped outside to get some air. Christian followed after me, his low voice carrying a hint of smugness. "Looks like your injuries are pretty serious. Too bad it's not about who's hurt worse. What matters is who's loved more." These past few days, I only had some scrapes, yet Tina stayed with me the whole time. "Does that make you sad?" My expression remained cold. "You came all this way just to say this?" Christian sneered. "I regret it. Tina loved me for 10 years, and I abandoned her for someone else. Fortunately, there's still a place for me in her heart. I still have time to win her back. I know you gave a lot for Tina, drinking yourself into the hospital to help her secure resources, nearly losing your life chasing away obsessive stalker fans. I can compensate you with money. Give her back to me. My vision went blank. All of that, I had actually forgotten everything. So it turned out I had already forgotten so many things about her. Seeing that I didn't respond, Christian grew dissatisfied. Why cling to her? Tina loved me for years. All I have to do is lower my head a little and she's happy. You can't compare to me at all. If you don't believe it, I can prove it to you. As he spoke, he suddenly shoved me aside, then jumped into the swimming pool himself, thrashing around and crying for help, making a huge commotion. I crashed heavily to the ground. The arm that had already been fractured sent a surge of pain through me so intense that cold sweat instantly soaked my back. Just as I was about to call out for help, a panicked voice suddenly rang out behind me. Christian. Tina rushed over without hesitation and jumped straight into the pool, pulling him up onto the shore. Christian looked utterly miserable as he leaned against her, forcing a bitter smile. Don't blame him. I just wanted to check on his injury, and maybe I touched a sore spot, or maybe he misunderstood our relationship. So he pushed me into the pool. Cough, cough. I should go home first. Tina suddenly turned to look at me, disappointment written all over her eyes. Yet she didn't scold me, she only said to Christian, "He's just sensitive and tends to overthink. Don't take it to heart. You're injured, stay over at my place tonight." With that, she helped Christian up and walked back with him, then said to me without even turning her head, "Christian will sleep upstairs tonight. You take the guest room." Christian glanced sideways at me, the corner of his lips curling into a triumphant smile, as if declaring his victory. From beginning to end, I didn't say a word. It wasn't that I didn't want to speak, the overwhelming pain in my body made even breathing hurt, leaving me without the strength to open my mouth. I watched Tina, who used to have only me in her heart, who would panic even if I accidentally fell, now coldly support Christian and walk away. It seemed there was no longer any need for me to explain anything. Suppressing the bitterness and pain in my chest, I used my uninjured arm to barely support myself, enduring the sharp agony in my fractured arm as I slowly made my way back to the living room. I rummaged through the house looking for the first aid kit, but couldn't find it anywhere. Just as I was about to give up and return to my room to rest, Tina appeared in front of me. Her face was expressionless, a first aid kit in her hands, clearly just used to tend to Christian's wounds. When she saw the blood stains on my arm, her expression changed abruptly. She hurried forward to support me. "Did your wound split open? Sit down. I'll take care of it." I dodged her hand. "No need. This bit of pain was nothing compared to the punishment the system had given me." Tina pressed her lips together tightly. "Are you getting back at me? Because I didn't let you sleep upstairs. Now you don't even want me to treat your injury." "Alan, you pushed Christian into the pool. He didn't do anything wrong. He's always treated you sincerely. Is it wrong for me to punish you a little?" I looked at her and said calmly, "He jumped in himself." Tina froze for a moment, then let out a cold laugh, the disappointment in her eyes deepening. "Alan, whether it's the system that will take you away or Christian framing you, I'm begging you, stop lying. Okay. I love you. That love will never change. You don't need lies to hold our relationship together." After saying that, she left me no room to refuse and made me sit down, then began bandaging my wound. I wanted to argue back, but when I saw her cold, distant gaze, I finally lowered my head and chose silence. I had thought she would believe my explanation, even just a little. Now it seemed I really had been overestimating my place in her heart. After finishing the bandaging, Tina stood up and left immediately, not even sparing me another glance. I watched her retreating figure, a sudden sharp pain tearing through my chest. But as my memories continued to fade, the ache in my heart gradually dulled as well. Only the pain in my body grew more and more intense. I returned to my room and fell into an exhausted sleep. When I woke again, the system's notification appeared before my eyes. "Host, there are 2 hours left before you return home. Please prepare yourself." I walked out into the living room. The villa was completely empty. Tina and Christian were both gone. I let out a bitter laugh. It seemed we were truly fated to miss each other. We couldn't even meet one last time. I took out the love letters Tina had given me, which I had treasured for 10 years, along with all the photos of us over the years, and burned them all. After taking care of everything, I went to the Riverside Bridge. The countdown to my death entered its final minute. Suddenly, I saw Tina and Christian in the distance, laughing and chatting as they got into the car. Immediately after, their car seemed to lose control and charged straight toward me. I was violently knocked into the air and fell off the bridge into the freezing sea below. In the very last instant before I plunged down, I saw the look of horror on Tina's face as she looked at me, and I heard that desperate cry, "Alan." I let out a self-mocking smile. I never expected that the death scenario arranged by the system would have me die at Tina's hands. At that moment, the system's cold voice rang out, "Host, The death scenario has been completed. We're going home. Chapter 2. After a bout of dizziness, my consciousness began to dissolve into chaos. The system's voice rang out once more. I'm sending you back to the real world, but you lost. So the grand prize previously offered will be taken back. 10 years ago, when I willingly chose to stay for Tina, I believed I wouldn't lose, so I never took the 10 billion reward. Now, that 10 billion was gone, but I was willing to accept it. At this point, all I wanted was to go home. A blinding white light appeared before my eyes and gradually swallowed me whole. When I opened my eyes again, I woke up in an office. The sound of the class bell rang in my ears, and only then did I remember, I had died suddenly in my office from overwork. Teacher, why are you spacing out? This period is your class. The voice of a colleague beside me snapped me back to reality. I stood up, picked up my teaching materials, nodded at her with a light smile, and said, I was distracted just now. I'll head to class, the school, the classroom, the students I saw day in and day out. Everything before my eyes felt both familiar and unfamiliar. I quickly adapted to the rhythm of modern life and faced each day positively. Just like before. Class dismissed. Don't forget to do your homework when you get home. Watching the students sling their backpacks over their shoulders and scatter, I, too, finished a day of work. Passing by a park, I noticed a child in tattered clothes hiding behind a tree, watching others play games. I walked over and crouched beside him. Why don't you go play with them? He looked at me, then lowered his head, gripping the hem of his clothes tightly as he said awkwardly, they don't like me because I'm a kid without a mom, they won't play with me. Then what about your dad? It was just a normal question, but he suddenly burst into tears. His tears flowed like a faucet that couldn't be turned off. People nearby immediately cast strange looks in my direction. I hurried to comfort him. How about I buy you something to eat? Or I can take you home. How about coming to Uncle's place? Uncle has lots of good food. The moment those words left my mouth, I realized I sounded exactly like a human trafficker, but seeing the hope in his eyes, I still took him home with me. Only afterward did I learn that he had no parents and no home. My dad cheated. My mom ran away and left me behind. I lived with my grandpa, but he passed away the year before last. His body rotted in the house, and no one even noticed. His tone was flat, as if he were talking about something that had nothing to do with him. I patted his head gently. From now on, stay with me. I accompanied him back to his home, buried his grandfather, completed the adoption paperwork, and enrolled him in school. I named him Felix, hoping his future would be full of promise. He's also very obedient and considerate. He feels for my exhaustion and takes the initiative to handle all the household chores. I thought life would continue like this forever, but one night, deep in the darkness, I heard the system's call again. It sounded on the verge of collapse, its tone urgent. I need you to return to Tina's world again, because of you. She has completely darkened, she's done many things that shattered her public persona. The world can no longer operate normally. As long as you can restore order to that world, I can give you double the wealth, enough to ensure you'll never worry about food or clothing for the rest of your life. After a long silence, I looked at the sleeping Felix. I only have one condition, let me take him with me. No problem. Perhaps the situation was truly critical. The system agreed without the slightest hesitation. The moment I picked up Felix, a wave of dizziness surged through my mind. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the overpass where I had died. Felix, jolted awake from his sleep, looked utterly confused. He grabbed my collar and asked, "Where is this? Am I dreaming?" I flicked his forehead lightly, set him down on the ground, and explained, "This is another world. I have something to take care of. So cool." At those words, he instantly perked up and began looking around excitedly. Although it was another world, time here flowed in sync with reality. It was already past midnight. Penniless in this world, I had no choice but to take Felix back to Tina's place. I entered the password, one I knew by heart, unlocked the door, and led Felix straight to the guest room on the first floor. The house was quiet. Tina was likely already asleep. We'd have to talk tomorrow. After coaxing Felix to sleep, I stared at the ceiling for a long time before finally drifting off. Just thinking about meeting her again threw my heart into complete turmoil. I couldn't even tell what kind of emotions I was feeling anymore. The next morning, I was woken by the sound of an argument outside the door. The sharp crash of a glass shattering instantly jolted me fully awake. I hurriedly got up and pushed the door open. Tina, throwing a tantrum in the living room, didn't notice any movement behind her at all. Her face was twisted with rage, an expression I had never seen before. "I want egg and lean pork congee. What is this crap you made? Are you trying to poison me?" The chef beside her didn't even dare to breathe loudly and could only explain himself humbly. "Miss, what I made is egg and lean pork congee." Liar. Another cup was immediately smashed to the floor, shattering into pieces. At a glance, I recognized it. It was the one Christian had given her. That seemed to be the first time she had ever mentioned Christian in front of me. That night, She had gone out for social engagements and came back completely drunk, barely able to walk. After I settled her on the sofa, I went to make some sobering soup, but couldn't find anything suitable to hold it. Later, I found a set of cups in the cabinet and used one of them to serve her the soup. The moment she saw the cup, she sobered up instantly. Panic filled her face as she poured the soup out and rushed into the kitchen to wash the cup. "Who told you to use this cup?" There was irritation in her voice. Not wanting to make her angry, I explained the reason. "This was a birthday gift Christian gave me. It's priceless. How could you use it to hold sobering soup?" That was the first time I had ever felt wronged by her. She had never lost her temper at me before, never. And the first time she did, it was because of another man. So the next day, when I cooked, I forgot her preferences. It wasn't until that evening, when she frowned and picked the cilantro out of her food, that I remembered she never ate scallions, ginger, garlic, or cilantro. Every cause has its consequence. The moment she developed feelings for Christian was the beginning of everything. The egg and lean pork congee I want should be smooth but not greasy. Redo it. If it's still bad, I'll fire all of you. The congee she was demanding was something I could only make by adding my own techniques. She knew full well they couldn't make it, yet she still chose to torment them like this. At that moment, the butler, drenched in cold sweat from fear, turned his head and saw me. In that instant, his entire body trembled as if he had seen a ghost, terror filling his eyes. "Alan, you're not dead. Didn't you fall off the overpass?" Tina's body visibly stiffened. She wanted to turn around, yet didn't dare to. Then she scolded the butler harshly. "Nonsense. If he were back, why wouldn't he come see me? Don't think you can use Alan's name to get yourself out of trouble." Yet her voice trembled, thick with emotion. So, she would still feel heartbroken over me. After a long moment, I finally spoke. "Tina." The instant she turned around, her face was already drenched in tears. When she saw me, she froze in disbelief for a split second, then ran toward me barefoot, even though the floor ahead was covered in shards of broken glass. "Alan, I knew you wouldn't die. I knew you'd come back. Where have you been all this time? Why didn't you come back to find me?" I explained calmly. "A civilian boat happened to be passing under the bridge. They pulled me out of the water." She grabbed my hands helplessly, her voice choking. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That day, I didn't mean it. I didn't see you." Her eyes were filled with nothing but me. She didn't notice at all that her feet had already been cut by the glass, blood streaming down. Seeing this, I frowned, scooped her up, and carried her toward the upstairs bedroom. Along the way, she clung tightly to my neck, her tears never stopping. "I know the truth now. It was Christian who framed you. After you fell from the overpass, I checked the surveillance footage. He pushed you, from beginning to end. He was the one lying to me. I was too stupid. I actually believed him. We've been married for 10 years. How could I not have trusted you? I was wrong. Alan. I'm the one who wronged you. Please give me one more chance. Let's start over. I swear. I'll completely cut ties with Christian. From now on, it'll be just the two of us, for life." After setting her down by the bed, she immediately reached out and grabbed my arm, stopping me from stepping back. "Don't leave me, okay?" I stayed silent for a long time before forcing the words out of my throat. "I'm going to get the first aid kit to treat the cuts on your feet." Only then did she loosen her grip, half believing, half doubting, her eyes never leaving me for a second. After I finished bandaging her wounds, she grabbed me again right away. "So, you've forgiven me, right?" I pulled her hand away with my other hand. When I looked at her, there wasn't the slightest trace of emotion in my eyes. I said flatly, "We're already over. Our relationship, I don't remember it anymore." Tina completely broke down when she heard that, disbelief written all over her face. "How is that possible? How could you forget our relationship? Don't you remember our wedding vows? We promised to stay together, to love each other, never to part. Alan, you loved me so much before." I don't believe it. I wasn't lying to her. From the moment I saw Tina again until now, no matter what she said, I felt nothing at all. Even seeing her cry didn't make my heart ache. Perhaps this was the price of losing the gamble. I let out a quiet sigh. "You said it yourself, that was before. When love is gone, it's gone." Just as she was about to say something more, a childish voice from the doorway interrupted her. "Dad, what are you doing here?" I turned around. Felix had come looking for me. He ran over and hugged me, then looked timidly at Tina, who stood there with disheveled hair. "Who is she? Your girlfriend?" Tina froze where she stood. Her expression shifted from shock to despair, and finally to utter desolation as she asked me, "Is this your child?" Before I could answer, she made up her mind on her own. "Alan, I can accept everything about you, even a child you had with someone else, as long as you come back to me." I glanced at Felix with a faint, almost amused look. Any urge to explain vanished instantly. Maybe hitting her with reality a few more times would finally wake her up. So I said, "If you say you love me, Then give everything back, all the things I once did for you. From that day on, Tina and I lived together in a strangely delicate balance. On the surface, it seemed like we had returned to the intimacy of the past. But in truth, nothing she did stirred even the slightest ripple in my heart. She took over all the cooking, and tonight was no exception. Yet I stared at the bland dishes on the table and didn't pick up my chopsticks for a long time. Seeing this, Tina asked cautiously, "Is it not to your taste? I remember your preferences are the same as mine, you like light food the most." The next second, Felix snorted softly beside me, not even knowing he loves spicy food. "And you still have the nerve to say you love him?" Tina frowned immediately and shot back. "How is that possible? He's always cooked food like this, 10 years without change." "That's because you like it." Those words made her freeze. I lifted my eyes and said calmly, "Because you don't like the smell of chili. You start coughing as soon as you smell it. For 10 years, I've been forcing myself to adapt." I picked up a piece of greens and took a bite. Yeah, no appetite. Then I put down my bowl and chopsticks and left the dining room. Felix followed after me, leaving her alone behind. Back in the room, Felix tugged on my hand. "You only regret it after losing something." I looked down on her. His little grown-up expression made me chuckle despite myself. "Then what if your mom came back?" He froze for a moment, then said firmly, "You're my only family now." I patted his head. Only then did I notice thin wisps of smoke seeping through the crack under the door. Suddenly thinking of something, I settled Felix and rushed out after opening the door. The living room was filled with thick smoke. Tina was coughing as she ran out of the kitchen. Seeing this, I quickly grabbed a fire extinguisher and rushed inside. The stove was on fire. It was obvious that when sparks flared up in the pan, Tina had poured water into it. After putting out the fire and stepping out of the kitchen, Tina rushed over and hugged me tightly, then checked me all over. Just like before, her eyes filled with nothing but fear. "Thank goodness you're okay." I gave a soft "Next time, don't pour water into the pan. Just cover it with a lid." "I'm sorry." Tina lowered her head to admit her mistake, looking like a child who'd done something wrong. Then, as if she suddenly remembered something, her eyes lit up and she pulled me over to the dining table. "Look, I just made spicy chicken. I can eat spicy food for you too. After all, you're the most important person to me." Just as Tina was about to step forward and hug me, Felix cut in from the side. "Auntie, what's that pitch black thing you made?" She froze, then shot Felix a vicious glare. "You little brat, what nonsense are you talking about?" After that, she turned back to me again. "I can learn to cook whatever you want to eat. If you want to stay with me forever, I can hand the company over to someone else to manage. I won't go anywhere, we'll stay together forever. Okay." Her eyes were full of pleading. If this were before, I would have refused, telling her I didn't want her to give up her career because of me. And now, I would still refuse, because I no longer loved her. I didn't speak for a long time. Instead, Felix let out a disdainful snort. "Other people's cooking is way better than yours. Don't you know? There are tons of girls lining up to cook for Dad. They're all young and pretty, way prettier than you. With so many girls liking him, what makes you think he'd turn back for you?" Felix's words threw Tina into a panic. She grabbed the corner of my clothes and kept swearing that she knew she was wrong. "Alan, you still love me, right? You're just blaming me for being good to Christian." But back then, I was fooled by him too. When he fell into the pool, I panicked and believed him. "I thought you were jealous and pushed him in. It's all my fault. Hit me if you want, as long as you can forgive me." I pressed my lips together and spoke calmly. "I want to eat sugar-roasted chestnuts from the west side of the city." Tina's home was in the east. Going there would mean crossing almost the entire city. But only that shop's sugar-roasted chestnuts tasted sweet to me. For the past 10 years, I'd always wanted to go buy them. But I had to stay home and prepare Tina's 3 meals a day, making sure she could eat warm, decent food as soon as she got off work. Thinking about it carefully, I realized I, too, had lost myself for love, forgotten my own needs. Now, before leaving, I just wanted one last taste of sugar-roasted chestnuts. As soon as I finished speaking, Tina didn't hesitate at all. She nodded frantically and agreed. "I'll go buy them right now. You'll wait for me to come back, okay?" She held onto me tightly, as if afraid that the moment she turned around, I would disappear. "I won't leave. I'm still waiting for the chestnuts." Only after my reassurance did she finally relax. She grabbed her car keys and rushed out the door. "You're giving her another chance?" As soon as Tina left, Felix asked me, confusion written all over his face. I looked toward the door and shook my head. "No, I really just want to eat sugar-roasted chestnuts." That was how Tina and I had begun. After all, last time, I had planned to leave right after eating sugar-roasted chestnuts, but Tina had made me stay. After eating the chestnuts this time, I really was going to leave, consider it a farewell to the past. Just as I was about to head back to the room, the doorbell rang urgently. I frowned and looked toward the front door. In the darkness, it felt as if something was about to break in. Did that auntie come back this fast? Didn't you say she went to the west side of the city? Felix said as he walked toward the door. Wait. I hurriedly stopped him. The person outside wasn't Tina. I grabbed Felix by the arm and pulled him back into the room, soothing him softly. No matter what you hear, don't come out. Then I locked the door from the inside. I let out a breath, and the moment I opened the front door, I quickly retreated away from it. When Christian saw me, he froze in shock for a split second. Then he pulled a dagger from his pocket and burst out laughing. Alan, you're actually not dead. You're really hard to kill. Fine. You didn't die, but you even dared to come back. I was just regretting that you died with nowhere for me to vent my anger. Who knew you'd deliver yourself right to me? I only faked my death and still got kicked out of the house. If I really kill you, take a guess, will Tina skin you alive? Seeing his crazed expression, my mood suddenly improved. You still dare to mention Tina? Because of you, she kicked me out and stopped seeing me. I'm the one she truly loves. You were the one who showed up and stole her from me. She finally came back to my side. And then you got knocked off the overpass again. She thought you were dead and cried every single day. Everything that's happened to me is because of you. I crossed my arms and looked at him the way one might look at a stray dog. So what? What can you possibly do to me? As long as you're gone, Tina will eventually see my sincerity. Christian let out a cold laugh. You already fell off an overpass. Why did you even come back? Then today I'll kill you. Only dead people don't come back. From now on, Tina will belong to me alone. With that, he raised the knife in his hand. My eyes quickly locked onto the fire extinguisher nearby. The instant Christian lunged at me, I pulled the pin and sprayed the powder straight at his face. In an instant, the living room filled with his screams. He covered his eyes with one hand while wildly swinging the dagger with the other. The powder hit Christian square in the face, completely blocking his vision. When the dust finally settled, his eyes were bloodshot, his face twisted with rage. He lifted the knife and charged at me again. Die. I dodged left and right, deliberately leading him toward the area where the glass cups had shattered earlier. My steps were nimble, carefully avoiding the shards on the floor. But Christian wasn't so lucky. He had no idea what had happened there before he arrived. With every step, he stomped straight onto the broken glass, letting out gut-wrenching screams. Yet he only grew more frenzied, until it seemed he couldn't feel the pain at all. Alan, I'll kill you. At that moment, out of the corner of my eye, I caught a flash of white. I pretended to have nowhere left to run and backed into a corner, waiting for death to come. The next second, I heard the sound of a blade piercing flesh, yet I felt no pain. I opened my eyes to see Tina standing in front of me, her face deathly pale as she shielded me. She forced herself upright and tugged her lips into a faint smile. As long as you're okay. Tina's sudden appearance completely threw Christian into chaos. He stared down at his trembling hands, now soaked in blood, screamed, and then fled. Tina lost too much blood and finally collapsed unconscious. I called the police, then rode in the ambulance with Tina. When she woke up, I had just returned from buying food. Seeing me, she froze for a moment, then forced a smile. I thought you'd already left. I walked over and sat by the bed, handing her the porridge and deliberately changing the subject. The doctor said you'll have a scar. Tina cared more about her appearance than anything else. Even the smallest scratch used to make her worry about scars, which was why I had stocked the house with all kinds of scar removal creams. But this time, she smiled indifferently. That way, every time I see it, I'll think of you. I pressed my lips together and didn't respond. Christian is at the police station. Once you're better, you can bail him out if you want. She frowned, completely baffled. Are you kidding me? He stabbed me with a knife. I almost died. Let the police sentence him however they see fit. Then her tone shifted. She grabbed my hand. You're still leaving me, aren't you? Is there really no way for us to go back to how things were? I gently pulled my hand away, stood up, and said calmly, "Thank you for the chestnuts. They were delicious." At those words, she suddenly laughed through her tears, which kept streaming down her face. After walking through the gates of death, I've thought through a lot of things. I made mistakes. I deserve to be punished, but losing you, this price is just too heavy for me. I smiled faintly. Someone new will take my place. With that, I turned and left. Behind me came Tina's muffled sobs, but I never looked back again. Felix had already been waiting outside the hospital room. As soon as I came out, he took my hand. We're about to leave. Why were you still so gentle with her? If her emotions spiral out of control, this world won't be able to maintain its balance. Only after dealing with both of them can we leave. Felix nodded, half understanding, half confused. In the end, the two of us disappeared into a field of bright light. When we returned home, I glanced at the clock. It was exactly the same time as when we had left, while we were in the other world. Time in this one had stopped completely. Felix hopped onto the bed. You sent Christian a message after leaving Tina. He grinned brightly, clearly pleased with himself for uncovering my little scheme. I saw your chat history in the room. You told him Tina was crying and begging you to reconcile. No wonder he went insane. Watching the woman he loved become that humble for someone else. You timed everything perfectly, didn't you? Even her taking the knife for you was part of your plan. I sat beside him and didn't deny it. They owed me that. I was just taking back what was mine. And you? He asked. Have you really let go? I didn't answer. Instead, I gently pushed him down onto the bed. It's late. Go to sleep. He closed his eyes and muttered softly. I hope I won't be betrayed like you in the future. I couldn't help but chuckle, lightly patting his back as I lulled him to sleep. Under the night sky, the occasional cry of a nightingale drifted in through the window. I turned to look at the moon outside. It seemed to whisper to me, or perhaps to comfort Felix, the future will be better. For both of us.